Welcome to episode 23 of Book Nerd Paradise, where we get to know an author as they share one of their favorite quotes, read from their work, pose a trivia question, and give away a book or two. Hi, I'm LRW Lee, author of the Andy Smithson Epic Fantasy Adventure Series. As always, Book One, the ebook, is in the series Blast the Dragon's Fury, is free for download. So if you haven't gotten a copy yet off of Barnes & Noble, Google Play, or Amazon, please feel free to download one. I'm also excited to announce that Book Nerd Paradise is available to take with you free of charge. That's right. Book Nerd Paradise episodes are now available on the iTunes podcast store. So you can now download that and take Book Nerd Paradise episodes with you this summer for free. Today, we welcome YA fantasy author Catherine Banks as our guest. Catherine is the author of 3 series and the novel Daughter of Lions, which she'll be sharing with us today. She began writing fiction stories when she was only 4 years old, if you can believe that, and she finished her first full-length novel at the age of 15. Catherine is a Northern California native and has lived within a 20-mile radius of her birthplace her entire life. She plans to travel to as many places as possible in her 30s to make up for her lack of traveling experience. She's married to her soulmate and best friend Avery, who's blessed her with 2 amazing children. After her full-time job, she reads, plays video games, and watches lots of anime shows and movies with her family. Please join me in welcoming Catherine Banks.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
It's great to see you this morning. Catherine, you'll be reading from Daughter of Lions so that we can get a feel for the book. Would you share a brief synopsis with us?
Being a teenager is hard enough, but when your dad is an alpha werelion, it complicates matters even more. Victoria doesn't feel like she fully fits in anywhere, and things become even more unsteady when she meets the new werelion in her dad's pride, Brandon. Is there a way she can alter her genes to gain the ability to shift, or will she learn to accept who she is?
You have selected a favorite quote for us. If you would share what that is and then tell us why it's a favorite.
My favorite quote is from the movie Moulin Rouge. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. And the reason that's my favorite is because it really shows, we put so much thought into things and we overthink things. And there are so many times in relationships where I personally, and I know my friends too, have begun to overthink things. And then you start thinking, oh, he doesn't love me, or oh, he doesn't actually care. And really, you just need to, he tells you he loves you and he shows it. So you need to just accept it and let them love you. And they should do the same.
Catherine, you'll be giving away a book. What will you be giving away?
I'm going to be giving away 3 copies of my new book, Daughter of Lions.
That's awesome. So we have 3 people who could win. So it could well be you. So if you go to YouTube and leave a comment about the episode, it could be anything at all, what you loved, what you hated, whatever. Just leave a simple comment and that will enter you to win in this giveaway for 3 paperbacks of the new book. Catherine, you'll be reading from Daughter of Lions. Would you briefly set up the portion you'll be reading from and then share with us?
So this part, it's in the beginning, so you don't get any information that you shouldn't have already. Victoria just got to her father's place because she goes there for the summer. Her parents are divorced. And she is about to go with her dad's beta. And so she's going to go spend some time with him. But in the beginning, she's talking to the alpha female, who is not mated to her father, even though everyone knows that the alpha female wants to be mated to her father. So I will start. This is Victoria starting. I didn't bring any cute clothes for a party, I said after a moment. Usually a party here meant lions roaring and hissing, fighting each other, and lots of barbecued food. Oh well, I'll just wear something. I'll buy you a dress too, she said quickly with a devilish smile on her face. I changed into my riding clothes and frowned at her. Why are you trying to set me up with Brandon? She opened her bedroom door for me and said, I just want you to look as beautiful as you are. I rolled my eyes. I'm not a lion, but even I could tell that was a partial lie. She put her arms around my shoulders and laughed. You know I love you. Love torturing me is more like it, I muttered as we walked into the living room. Mark pulled me away from Sarah towards the back door and said, let's go. I leaned against his warm side, happy to be able to spend time with him. We stepped out of the house and headed to the left where a large red barn stood. We walked to the barn where the bikes were stored and several members of the pride waved and smiled at me as we went past them. We used to have a couple animals in the barn, but we learned quickly that were lions and prey animals do not get along very well. The prey animals felt too stressed out being around so many predators, and so we decided it was more humane to not keep animals. Mark was silent as we walked, which was not uncommon for him, but still made me nervous. I just hoped he was not thinking up some evil plot against me. He pushed open the barn's doors, and I walked past the various cars and other outdoor vehicles stored inside until I was next to my dirt bike. I ran my hand down my bright green dirt bike, brushing off some of the dirt, and wished I could take it to my mom's house and ride it somewhere out there. I pushed it outside and said, it's been too long since I have been here. I agree, said Paul as he walked around the corner of the barn with a wild smile on his face. I put the stand down so my bike would not fall as Paul picked me up and hugged me. Hello, little sister. Paul was tall, buff, and looked like a California surfer with unruly blonde hair and tan skin. Hey, Pollyanna, I said as I hugged him back. He kissed my cheek. You are lucky that you're the alpha's daughter. I would beat you for that. You're just afraid of me, I said as we continued the same conversation we always had when we first saw each other. Are you riding with us, Mark asked. Paul nodded his head. If that's all right. Mark smiled. Of course. I need all the help I can get to keep her safe. I rolled my eyes, put my helmet on, and then got on my bike smiling. Just don't complain about eating my dust. I was about to head off when Brandon walked around the barn towards us. He smiled and asked Mark, can I go with you all? I was planning on heading out, but I would rather not go alone. Of course he was going to come. I could not do anything without him, apparently. Mark looked at me as if he had read my mind, but I knew he could not. Had I made a sound and not known it? I'll see you guys at the river, I said as I took off away from them and towards the trails. They would catch up to me at the river, and I would get to ride alone for a little bit and try to get rid of my anger. I heard 3 engines start up behind me as I headed down the trail in front of me, which meant they were hurrying after me. The tires bounced over the uneven dirt, and I smiled as I forgot about the guys behind me and just enjoyed the trail. Dad and Mark had spent several days creating the dirt trails for the bikes and ensuring that there were trails suitable for every level of rider. I had started riding the trails on a mountain bike when I was 4 and progressed to a small dirt bike when I was 6. I spun around the first turn, my tires flinging dirt behind me as I turned fast. Here I was in control. Here I could do whatever I wanted. At least that was how I felt until a tree log appeared in front of me. I tried to slow down, but I had been going too fast. I turned sharply, barely making it without falling, and swerved around the log. I yelled victoriously as I neared the first jump, flying through the air. The landing was jarring, but I was used to it, and after 2 more turns, I finally made it to the river. I stopped, turned my bike off, and took my helmet off. The river was pretty high, which was unusual for this time of year. I could smell the salt of the ocean, which was about a mile away, and relaxed. This was home. A large gray wolf stepped out of the woods with its head down, looking at me. I glanced at it, but could not recognize who it was. Hey, I said softly as I avoided eye contact and tried to figure out who it was by looking at its markings. The werewolves were our allies and wandered into our side of the forest occasionally. I knew most of them from the meetings Dad held and the many times that the teenagers of the group had come to play when we were younger, but I could not place this one. The wolf twitched its ears towards the sound of the guys approaching bikes as it walked closer to me. Even if it could not smell me, the wolf should have recognized me by sight. Why was it acting so weird? It's me, Victoria, I said as it drew closer. The sound of the bikes grew louder, and I guessed them to be about 2 turns away. The wolf seemed to know they were coming closer because it chose that moment to jump at me with ears pinned and teeth bared. I stumbled backwards, trying not to run, but to get away at the same time. The wolf's teeth snapped together, a hair away from my arm. I held my scream in and shuffled backwards. What the hell was it doing? No wolf had ever attacked me before. The wolf leapt at me, ramming into me and shoving me off of the road. It was then that I screamed, as I fell into the cold water of the river. The water closed around my head, and I was instantly chilled to the bone and being swept downstream. I kicked as fast as I could and surfaced, gasping in a lungful of air just as I slammed into a boulder in the stream. I screamed in pain as I felt one of my ribs crack. Victoria, yelled Mark from somewhere. I wanted to call out to him, but I could barely breathe as it was, and I needed to focus on getting to shore. I swam sideways, using the current to help me along, and had almost reached the shallow part when I was slammed into a rock again. Pain engulfed my entire body, and my vision blurred. My body went limp and I was swept back out into the current and underneath the water. The water swirled around me, numbing every inch of me. Part of me knew I needed to wake up and swim, but my body was too exhausted to do anything against the strong current. Someone's arms wrapped around my waist, and then my body was lifted from the river and set on warm sand. I shivered and took shallow breaths to avoid the pain in my ribs. "Victoria, say something," whispered Mark as he moved my clothes to examine my body. Words were impossible at the moment. Thoughts were impossible. I was alive. I was alive, and Mark was here. Bright light speared my eyes as someone lifted open my eyelids. "Victoria," whispered Paul. I wanted to smile at him or say something to him, but all I could do was faint when I took a deep breath and Mark touched my broken rib.
Our guest author last week, YA fantasy author Candy J. Wyatt, posed a trivia question for us.
So the question was, who was the white creamy unicorn in C.S. Lewis's Chronicles of Narnia that was best friends with King Tyrion? You'll find the answer in The Last Battle. King Tyrion is the last king of Narnia, and his best friend's name is Jewel.
Catherine, you have a trivia question. What is it?
My trivia question is, who drew the black and white maps in J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit?
Ooh, that is an excellent question. I have never even thought about that one. Okay, so make sure you tune in next episode to find out the answer. I will be as fascinated to know what it is as you. So, all right, great question. Any final thoughts you'd like to leave with us?
I just want to say thank you for having me on here. And if you guys are interested in my book, you can go to my website, which is just amzn.to. And I have all of my books there and all of the links to buy them. And then I also wanted to plug NaNoWriMo, which is a free website where you can go and you write a novel in 30 days. And it's completely free and it's fun. You meet great people. I met lots of great people. And if you've ever thought about writing, or ever, I kind of want to write, do it.
Catherine, thanks so much for those words. Yes, NaNoWriMo, I would agree. It's a great opportunity for people aspiring to write novels to certainly dive in, take a deep plunge. Good job. So I hope you've enjoyed getting to know Catherine Banks a little bit. I'm LRW Lee, author of the Andy Smithson Epic Fantasy Adventure Series. And as I mentioned, Book One is free for download. Our guest next episode will be YA fantasy author Colleen Helmy, author of the Shelby Nichols Adventure series, sharing from her latest release, Songbird. The synopsis reads, as the ambassador for Braemar, Bran is sent on a diplomatic mission to the Old Country to establish trade relations. But the real reason for his mission is to uncover the secret of a potent elixir that can give magic to anyone who drinks it. While there, he encounters the Songbird, a beautiful exotic woman and the king's most prized possession. Her song is full of magic, and Bran determines that she and her people must be connected to the elixir he seeks. In exchange for her help, he is willing to risk his life and set her free. What he doesn't expect is to fall under her spell. Ooh. So look forward to hearing more about that tale next Monday.
Click the button to subscribe to the Book Nerd Paradise YouTube channel so you don't miss upcoming authors, giveaways, and answers to trivia questions.
Thanks so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode, and I look forward to seeing you again next Monday.